Welcome back to the channel. Keith here, and here we are in my garage. I've got another DIY project for you. We'll be working on my 2002 Mustang GT. This has about 47,000 miles on it right now, and it is due for an oil change. So that's what I'm going to show you guys how to do today. And also I've got another box that just got delivered today, so we've got a part in here. I'm going to be installing this on the car in another video, so keep an eye on my channel when I post that one. Be interesting to see how all that turns out. Okay, and I've had a few others interested in the Yamaha Wave Runner. This is my 2016 Yamaha VXR. You might have seen some of my previous videos. Did a oil change video on this one. Did a ribbon delete for the intake manifold. Also have done a Riva Racing through-hole exhaust. Okay, so I've got everything laid out that I'm going to be using for the oil change today. You're going to be needing your oil, and the manufacturer recommends 5W20. You're going to need about 6 quarts of oil. You're going to need a brand new oil filter. In this case, it's going to call for Motorcraft, made by Ford. It's the FL820S. Okay, brand new filter. You're also going to want a oil filter wrench. A lot of times the old oil filter is stuck on the car pretty good, so you'll want to use this to loosen it, and then you can take it off by hand. Next, you're going to want a wrench, or at least a socket. In my case, I'm going to need a 5/8 inch. This is what you're going to use to get the bolt off the oil drain pan, and then you can drain the oil out of the car, and then use this to reinstall the bolt. Also recommend to have a funnel. You'll need to use this when you go to pour the oil back into the car after you've drained out the oil. Also recommend to have some gloves. And also I've got a freezer bag. I'll show you how I use that, just a tip just to make the job a little cleaner, less messy. And last part, you're going to need an oil drain pan. This is what you're going to use to catch all the oil. This is a 16 quart capacity, and it can be plugged up. That way you can transport it somewhere to dispose of, like let's say AutoZone or a local parts store that accepts oil. All right, so next step, I'm going to get the car up on jack stands and get started on doing the oil change. Okay, so we have the car up on jack stands, and this is where the drain pan bolt is, so we're going to be using our wrench to get this off. I've positioned my oil drain pan just below that to catch all the oil as it drains out. All right, so just give that a few minutes to drain, and then you can put the oil drain pan plug back in. Okay, the next step now is going to be to reinstall the drain pan bolt now that all the oil has finished draining out. I like to start it by hand just to make sure I don't cross thread anything, and then I'll snug it up. Now you don't have to get this super tight. You don't want to risk cross-threading any threads that are part of this oil pan. If you mess those up, you'll have to replace your oil pan. So I think it's about 19 foot-pounds, but I just kind of push on it and get it nice and snug. And that's really all you got to do. So now we're going to move up to the front of the car, and I'll show you where the oil filter is, and we'll take that out and put in the new one. Okay, so now we're under the front of the car, and this is where your oil filter is located. It's up here on the front of the engine on the driver's side of the engine block. We're going to go ahead and use our oil filter wrench to kind of get it started. And then once we get it loosened, we'll take it off the rest of the way by hand. All right, there it goes. It broke loose, so give it a couple more quick turns, and that should do it. All right. Okay. So what I want to try next is I'll take my plastic bag and I'll slip it over this and hope to catch as much oil out as I can, because as you can see, it's positioned in a sideways fashion, so it dumps oil out pretty easy. We've got some oil starting to pour out. The bag seems to be catching it pretty well. I'll just keep turning it. Okay, and the oil filter has now come off. I've caught it inside the bag, so hopefully that'll help keep the oil from making a real mess here. So, all right, there we go. So I'll leave the oil filter in the bag for now. Just set it down in the oil drain pan. There we go. So now you can see where the oil filter goes. It connects right onto this part of the engine. So next step is to install the new filter. With the new filter, I've already put a little bit of oil on this O-ring. This will help prevent the O-ring from sticking to the engine block. That's what makes it hard to get off when it's been on the engine for a long time, is this tends to stick to the engine block. So I put a little bit of oil on there that'll help with removal on the next oil change. Okay, now we're going to reinstall the new oil filter. Should go on by hand real smooth. You shouldn't need to use an oil filter wrench on this, just get it hand tight. So as long as your gloves are clean, you can get a pretty good grip on this and really get it on nice and snug. All right, and that's it. So your new oil filter is on. Part of the process is done. Next we're going to go on top of the car and we'll add our oil to the car, and then we'll check our fluid to make sure that we're topped off just right. And then we're almost done. Okay, now we're ready to add the new oil to the car. On a 4.6 liter V8, this is where your oil filler cap is. You just unscrew it. And it also has a marking on it that tells you what oil to use. And it says 5W20, and that's the same oil that we have. So let's get started. Okay, so we'll get our funnel in place, just like that. And just to double check, 5W at 20. All right, so that's our first 5 quarts. We'll do one more quart, so we have a total of 6. All right, all done. Okay, take the funnel out. Replace our cap. Okay, that part's done. So the next step is we're going to go over here and we're going to check the oil level using our oil level dipstick. Okay, next step is to double check the oil level. So we'll use our dipstick to measure the oil with it. And this is what the dipstick looks like. So you're going to be wanting to make sure the oil is between the minimum, which is this first dot, and this top dot. Okay. All right, looks good. One extra step you can do is to go ahead and turn your car on, cycle it for a few seconds, and then check the oil level again, and you should be topped off just right. All right, that's a wrap. So that's how you do a oil change on a 2002 Mustang GT with a 4.6 liter V8. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next video.